Hey everyone, welcome to this tutorial on You've Got a Friend in Me, as performed by Randy Newman and as arranged by Jacob Davis. First, the usual stuff, or at least some of it. The full lesson is split up into several parts and only the first part will be released on YouTube. For full access, you can check out my website or my Patreon page. Both offer different perks at different pricing points, so there should be something for everyone. For the tabs, I usually point you towards music notes, but this time, if you want the tab and notation file, then do head over to Jacob's website. He has the tabs for sale over there, and that way he can generate some returns for his work as well. Now, Jacob Davis is a relatively new face in the fingerstyle world, or at least he was a new face to me when one of my longtime supporters on the website forwarded me this arrangement. Thanks a lot, Michael. Jacob has already built up a big following on Instagram, and after going through his videos, it's not hard to see why. He clearly has a knack for picking the right songs and arranging them for fingerstyle guitar, using open tunings and percussive techniques where needed. And today's song is no exception. Jacob does a great job of combining the catchy melody with a bass groove and a steady percussive backbeat. It's that percussive backbeat that is going to be the main challenge here. And in more than one way, this arrangement seems to be a great follow-up lesson to my tutorial of Broken Man by Nari Massa. If you've never heard about that song before, then make sure to check it out on my website. It is often named as one of the most addictive fingerstyle songs in my library to play. Jacob's arrangement of You've Got a Friend in Me takes the percussive aspect of that song just one step further, without things becoming overly technical. I also want to extend a big thank you to Jacob himself for letting me cover one of his songs. After getting in touch with him, he was as friendly, accommodating, and enthusiastic about this tutorial as can be. Ready? Off you go. Okay, so let's get things moving then. The guitar is in open and D tuning. I know it can be a hassle retuning your guitar if you only have one, but Jacob does let the open D tuning do most of the work. The fretting hand in this song is getting off quite easy. That means that you're going to drop down the low E string, the B string and the high E string a full step, and the G string has to go down half a step. That way you end up with D, A, D, F sharp, A, and D. And if you strum that down, you have a big open D chord. Now I will keep referring to these strings by their original name, E string, A string, D string, G string, B string, because that will make the most sense. I have currently 3 open D strings. Calling one of those strings out is going to make things confusing very quickly. And that is all. No thumb pick, no flat pick. Jacob does use a capo on the first fret. That is to match the original key. Now, this guitar isn't the best of friends with a capo on the first fret. It sounds a bit strange, so I just left it out and I'm going to work in open position. And that is all. I'm going to dive straight into the 8-bar intro. This is what it sounds like. And that is already the first note of the verse, that slide up. As you can hear, the open D tuning is doing a lot of the work. The guitar is resonating like crazy and you're not putting in that much effort. Now, normally I would now go over the chord shapes, but there are no real chord shapes. Like I said, the open D tuning is doing most of the work. What we can talk about is the different percussive techniques that you're going to need. Throughout the entire song, you're going to be clicking away with the thumb on the bass string, providing the backbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there are 3 methods or 3 types of variations that you're going to do while clicking down with the thumb. Now let me quickly add the magnet and show you what this is all about. So when it comes to the percussive clicking, there are 3 different variations that we have to learn. The first one is by far the easiest, which is just clicking down with the thumb sideways on the low E string. So that means just tapping the low E string, making sure it connects with the top frets on the fretboard, producing a light percussive click. Don't do this too hard. This is always going to be in between different notes. So for instance, a bass note, a melody note, then a percussive click, and another melody note, something along those lines. The second one is a bit trickier, but still not that hard to learn. We're going to combine that percussive click with a soft strum down with the nails. So this just comes down to producing that click and lightly clicking or flicking the nails against the strings. So this comes down to just doing this. That's basically all. Now the hard part is not doing that strum too hard. This means just lightly clicking against the strings. That's basically all that needs to happen. A soft click with the thumb and a light touch with the fingernails against the strings. Don't go strumming down hard, everything will be out of balance. So clicking down while lightly flicking the nails. That's basically all you need to do. That's number 2. Might take a bit of time, still not too hard to get down. Number 3 is the trickiest one by far. This is clicking down while playing a separate note at the same time. So this means you might be playing the B string, and while you're going to play the B string, you're going to produce a click at the same time. Now, this is more or less an arm movement, not even a wrist movement. You're putting down the index finger or whatever finger you need to use on the string, and by clicking down sideways, you're going to pull that finger off of the string. So there's not really that much thumb or finger joint movement going on here. It's basically a light and really quick arm movement. If you can see it in the camera, this part of the hand is moving sideways. Finger is on the string, moving sideways, and you're getting that plucked note on top. I might assist slightly by pulling the finger, but the main motion is this. This is the trickiest move by far. You're going to have to do this a few times in the song. Even I think the very first click is one of these. But in some cases during the song, I can help you to sort of cheat your way around it. But let me get rid of the magnet and then we can dive straight into the first bar. You'll see what I mean. So now that we know the different percussive techniques, we can quickly go over the rest of the song, because that is going to be the main challenge here, getting the percussion going. You start with an open low E string, open B string, and then as you play the open high E string, you're going to click down sideways with the thumb. Like I told you, clicking down with the thumb while rotating the hand. So 1, 2, and then adding the index finger to the 2nd fret on the high E string. You're going to move that up 1 fret to the 3rd fret and add the middle finger to the 4th fret on the A string. 1, 2, 3, and after that 3rd beat, you add the ring finger to the 4th fret on the high E string. Another click, just the thumb going down on the bass strings, and then an open E string while you move the index finger down to the 2nd fret on the A string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and adding the middle finger to the 2nd fret on the B string as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 on the 2nd beat, again just a click down, and then you slide up with the ring finger and the middle finger from the 2nd fret, ring finger 2nd fret, the G string, pinky, 2nd fret on the high E string, and you slide up to the 3rd fret quickly and drop down the index finger on the 1st fret on the A string now. And then immediately move that little unit down to the 2nd fret again. In time, in the right place in the bar, sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the 4th beat, just another click again. Then you move all the way up to the 12th fret for a harmonic both on the G string and a high E string. That's a really quick shift, so make use of that click with the thumb going down to do that big position shift all the way up. Those first 2 bars all the way through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. The first beat, that harmonic rings out and you just add an open A string underneath. Then 2 more harmonics, you just switch strings from the G string and the high E string to the D string and the B string. So 3, 4, 1, 2. So what happens is double harmonic, open A string, double harmonic on the different strings and a click on the second beat. Then you quickly move down again during that click. You stick to the same unit, ring finger and pinky. Now 6th fret on the G string and high E string again. Open A bass string and you move down 1 fret. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 4th beat. Just another click and then index finger, 3rd fret on the high E string. And you slide up as you play the bass note on the low E string. And a harmonic 5th fret on the D string. Now, if you have trouble getting this harmonic loud enough, then make sure you pick it a little bit closer to the bridge. Will sound a lot more clear and loud if you pick it closer to the bridge as opposed to over the neck or over the sound hole. So 1, 2, another click on the second beat, another open E string in front of the beat. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So open E string, and then right after that, something that looks like a partial A power chord, open A string, middle finger 2nd fret on the D string, and an open G string. And we're going to hammer on to the 1st fret on the G string with the index finger. 3, to an open B string, and now a quick slide down, ring finger 3rd fret on the D string, and a quick slide down to the 2nd fret, and a pull off to an open D string. Now, as far as I can tell, in this section, in this quick slide down, there is no percussive click when Jacob is playing this. Now, it is possible using the same trick, getting the finger on the string and just clicking sideways as you pluck that one melody note. So if you want to, you can keep it going. So just that last bar. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we head straight into the first note of the verse. That would be the full intro. One more time, those last 2 bars, connecting the different dots. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now that I'm playing through it, I'm starting to have my doubts whether it is landing the slide on the bass note or playing a quick slide and then the bass note. There's something to figure out. I'll make sure to check back before doing the cover version. That was the full intro. One more time through the whole thing, just these 4 bars, and then we can already dive into the verse. So this is the intro all the way through. That would be the first note of the verse. Before we dive into the verse, one more time with the magnet on the guitar so you can have a good look at what that percussive click is all about, and then we can check out the next section. Here we go. Okay, so that was the 4-bar intro. Now let's dive into the 8-bar verse. Again, the fretting hand isn't too demanding. Main challenge is still in that clicking, that backbeat that you have to keep going. This is what it sounds like. And that first fifth fret will already be the first note of the chorus. So this is where a lot more of those variations in the percussive part start popping up. But again, left hand, nothing too tricky. We start with a quick slide on the D string, ring finger, 3rd fret, quickly up to the 4th fret as an embellishment alongside an open E string. Then middle finger, 3rd fret to the G string, and on the second beat, just a click by itself, just clicking down. 1, 2, another open E bass string, and then we switch over to roughly the same chord shape as before, open A string. Now the 2nd fret on the D string with the index finger, and we're going to hammer on to the 2nd fret on the B string with the middle finger. Hammer on with the middle finger to the 2nd fret on the B string, then pick the 2nd fret on the D string, and now clicking down as we play an open B string on top. This is going to get tricky fast now. 1, 2, 3, 4. So preparing the finger, clicking down, and then a quick slide from the 3rd fret down to the 2nd fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So sliding down, 2nd fret rings out as you play the low E string bass note, and then you let go of the middle finger for an open D string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. On the second beat, just a click down, another open E string, and now a quick hammer on, again in triplets, open A string, hammer on to the 2nd fret with the middle finger, open D string, and then back to the 2nd fret on the A string, and you pull back off. That's what happens. Now, there is a click in that fill as well. And that is not easy to do because there's so little room. You have to pluck the note on the A string while doing that click down on the low E string. So there is very little room to actually pull off those two notes at the same time. It is doable, I just did it in the intro as well, but you can also cheat. There is a way around this, and that is just letting that 2nd fret ring out and then just pulling off and playing that click and sort of faking the note in between there. 3, 4, and then just doing the pull off. See, I'm not plucking that note in between there. If I do it this low and you know what to listen for, it stands out. But up to speed, you can sort of get away with it. If you're not explaining it beforehand to people, you wouldn't miss that one pluck on that 2nd fret there. So this is something that you can play around with. The cheating version, without that last pluck on the A string, and just doing the pull off, or the full version with the click alongside the pluck all the way at the end. To the 5th fret. So it is doable, but I will admit it is very little space there to pull off that combination. Then on to the 5th fret. 5th fret, low E string. You hold down a full bar across all 6 strings, E string, G string, and then the first one of those strums down as you play the click. So clicking down and just flicking the nails gently, and you try to aim for the B string and G string. 1, 2, open E string, just to switch over to the next chord shape. Now in this case, Jacob goes for this 5th fret on the B string and 6th fret on the low E string. And he sort of adds a little bit of vibrato on that 5th fret. You can also cheat, which is what I did in the introduction, and just play an open E string on top. It's the same note, and it makes the chord switch a little bit easier. So I'm going for this. 1, 2, 3, and I'm just playing low E string, 6th fret, and high E string, open. Then if I continue with that fingering, 1, 2, 3, 4, sliding up with the ring finger from the 7th fret on the D string to the 9th fret, again while doing a click down below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Open B string in front of the beat and then an open E string on the first beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to the open E string. Now maybe one time with Jacob's original fingering. 1, 2, 3, going for this middle finger, index finger, and then he probably slides up with the pinky, doing the same thing, and then to the same open B string, open E string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's just what you prefer. It almost sounds identical. Then we move back down to the open E string. 1, 2, and the same thing, click on the bass string while strumming down on all open strings, preferably the B string and high E string this time. 1, 2, another open E string, and then middle finger 3rd fret on the D string, index finger 2nd fret on the G string, and pinky 4th fret on the B string, and you're just going to move that up 1 fret. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another click on the 4th beat and just an open E string right after that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Ending up with the middle finger on the 5th fret on the low E string. Those were the first 4 bars. One more time, a quick recap of the last 2 bars. So here we go. That would be that section. And now the first 4 bars all the way through. To the 5th fret. Now 5th fret, just the bass note, and then ring finger and pinky, also 5th fret on the D string and G string. 1, 2, just bass note, double stop, click on the low E string, and then a quick slide up, 3rd fret, ring finger on the D string, 2nd fret, middle finger on the G string, and sliding up 1 fret to the 4th fret and the 3rd fret. 1, 2, 3, and now the exact same slide, now only on the D string, 3rd fret to 4th fret, and another click before switching to the next chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, and another open D string, now 4th fret, again middle finger on the low E string, ring finger and pinky 4th fret, but on the G string and B string. 1, 2, same move as before, bass note, double stop, click, open E string, and the index finger goes for the 2nd fret on the A string. 1, 2, 3. We've played this fingering before, index finger, middle finger, both 2nd fret, index finger on the A string, middle finger on the B string, and we're going to pull off to an open B string. And we're going to time out that pull off to the open B string to land exactly on our backbeat click. So that full bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then with the pinky a quick slide from the 4th fret to the 5th fret on the B string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And we're going to land in roughly the same chord shape as before with the middle finger on the 5th fret down below. Those 2 bars back to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You slide it with the pinky, that note rings out. You add the middle finger to the 5th fret on the low E string, and then you add the ring finger to the 5th fret as well, but on the G string, but you're going to pull off to an open G string, same trick, pulling off, while trying to get the click underneath. So plucking, pulling off, and landing that click at the same time. 1, 2, you can let go of the pinky, by the way, before you initiate that pull off. So pinky rings out, bass note, ring finger, pinky is removed, and then you pull off to the open G string while hammering down. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Same slide up as we did before. 3rd fret, 2nd fret, sliding up 1 fret, and then an open E bass string underneath that. Quick slide down again. Now this is a lot that happens in quick succession, so pay attention. The pull off the click, sliding up, sliding back down only with the middle finger to the 2nd fret, and again pulling off as you try to get the click on the low E string. This is quite fast after each other. Getting that click on that bass note, then grabbing the same note again, but now with the ring finger, and sliding back up to the 4th fret, but trying to get the bass note on the 4th fret with the middle finger now at the same time. So this is all just in one single bar, a lot that is happening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Landing the slide with the bass note on the 4th fret, repick that 4th fret on the D string, and then another one of those clicks while doing a strum down. So just across, let's say, hopefully you only get the G string and B string. That's what you're going for. And then ending up with the index finger on the 2nd fret on the A string and an open D string. So, and when I'm doing that strum down, I'm sort of muting that high E string lightly with the index finger here, so that I don't have to pay too much attention to how far the strum is going down. 1, and now I'm leaning over with the index finger, and sort of with the side here, I'm grabbing that high E string, just very lightly. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, this is one of those places where Jacob does the click on that 4th beat, but you have very little room. So what happens is on the 4th beat, hammer on from the open A string to the 2nd fret to an open D string, while doing a click on that low E string again. That would be the full part, but again, you can use the same cheat, and I think it works better here than in the previous case. So we're going to do the same thing. And we're not going to pluck that open A string, we're simply going to do a pull off and a hammer on back on, and then to the open D string. And then, so let me think. So as I do the pull off, I'm not plucking that open A string, I'm producing that by means of a pull off here. And in this case, I think it sounds so convincing that I'm actually going to use this in the cover version as well. So sliding up. This is where we pluck that B string here, so that string is ringing. And now I'm going to simply hammer down with the thumb while doing a pull off here. See? I'm not plucking that note, it will be clear with the magnet. D string, and now without, I'm just hammering down on that bass string for the percussive click, and the bass riff is initiated by hammer-ons and pull-offs, which makes it a lot easier, because again, you have very little room, just a low E string to click on and the A string to plug that note. Up to speed, this is very hard to pick out of the arrangement. I wouldn't be able to pick that out, especially not if nobody knew it was being cheated that way. So this is what I'm going to do. If you really want to pluck and produce that click at the same time, then go ahead. It just takes a little bit more practice. But that was the full chorus. Let me one more time recap those last 2 bars, then the last 4 bars, and then the entire thing with the magnet on the guitar. So first, the last 2 bars. And I cheated. I think it sounds really convincing. Last 4 bars. cheated again. I think it sounds fine, so I'm going to keep doing it. So those were the last 4 bars, and now one more time through the entire thing with the magnet on the guitar, all 8 bars. Keep an eye out for what is happening in that percussive backbeat. That is the main challenge here. Here we go. So that was the intro as well as the verse. The only thing now left to learn is the chorus, but for people watching on YouTube, now it's time to switch over to my website or my Patreon page for full access to the rest of the lesson. If you've already bought the tab from Jacob's website, you probably now know more than enough to complete the rest of the arrangement without my help. But for everyone else on the website or heading over there, I'll see you there for part 2. Take care. Bye bye.